Hello everyone, welcome back to Just Another F1 podcast here on Apex Motorsport. My name's Richard Smyth and this is Season 2, Episode 10, and we've just had the Styrian Grand Prix, and I'm delighted to say I'm joined once again in this podcast by accredited Formula 1 photographer, Craig Evans. Craig, thank you for joining me again. What's your immediate reaction to the Styrian Grand Prix?
Well, thank you for having me back again. Yeah, it was. I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit of a snooze fest, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a little boring. I mean, in a year where France is actually a great race and Austria is actually one of the worst races we've had for a couple of years, what's going on? It's a topsy-turvy season.
Yeah, very much so. And the battle at the front as well is just making things even more interesting. But I think we should start by the thing that I think we look forward to most in each and every podcast. It's the
Oh, of
F1
course.
higher or lower. The game where we try to come up with the most outrageous questions rather than actual Formula 1 knowledge that you need to know. But you never know. This is proper pub quiz knowledge in the future,
Oh, of course. I
hopefully.
mean, some pretty random pub quiz questions to get this knowledge in there, but
Yeah, but you never know. You never know when you need to know this.
no, never know.
So as the guest, would you like me to ask you the question first, or do you want to fire one at me?
Well, I could go first if you'd like.
I'll go on then.
So, obviously, Bottas, Hamilton, and Verstappen have finished on the podium together a record 17 times. The next highest trio to appear on the podium is Hamilton, Rosberg, and Vettel with 14 times. Now, my question to you is: did Alonso, Vettel, and Webber appear on the podium together higher or lower than 14 times?
Ooh. So it's Alonso, Vettel, and Weber.
Yes.
Okay. It's really testing the knowledge here.
It is going back a bit now.
That's it. Be Red Bull and Ferrari. Going back. Ooh. I'm gonna go
Going back
lower.
nearly 10 years, to be fair, so it's a bit of a harsh question.
It is. Yeah, I'm gonna go lower.
You're going to go lower?
Yeah.
You are correct.
Yes. Happy
13
days.
times.
Oh,
So
we're
Hamilton,
very
Rosberg, and
close.
Vettel were 14 times, and Alonso, Vettel, and Webber were 13 times. So there you go, a round of
Hmm.
applause. Very, very good.
Yeah, this question it's very loosely linked, shall I say, to Formula One. Um, it's not 1950s IndyCar, don't worry.
And it has nothing to do with Prince Charles.
No. uh, so best weather technology, or BWT. We know that we're on the grid with Racing Point in the brilliant pink color. Um, well, we know that the pink detailing is currently on the Aston Martin car. That information is totally pointless because my question to you is that another key sponsor of Formula One, Rolex, sponsored 3 races last year as title sponsor. But did Emirates title sponsor a higher or lower number of races than Rolex?
Oh, because Rolex will have done Silverstone, Hungary, and Italy. Emirates will have done last year. They will have done one of the Bahrains. They will have done Dubai. I'm going to go lower. I think they only did two.
That is correct.
Yes.
That was very good work on it. I would have just completely guessed.
Logical. You got to think logically with these
Yeah.
completely irrational higher or lower questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So your second one to me then?
So my second question to you is, um, so obviously Carlos Sainz is being very closely compared to his idol Fernando Alonso, as they have taken the same teams, they've gone to the same teams at roughly the same points in their career. But my second question is the amount of points that Carlos Sainz has in the first 8 races, so are the 50 points that he has scored higher or lower than the points tally for Fernando Alonso in his championship-winning season of 2005 in his first 8 races. So is Alonso 2005 scored more or less points than 50 that the Carlos Sainz has scored already this season?
In the opening 8 races of Alonso's season as well.
Yes.
That's one of the most outrageous yet brilliant questions I've ever heard.
Loosely linked.
I'm trying to think if there's a different point system or not.
That's part of the question.
Oh. See, I'm trying to work out when everything changed, because I know at one point it was just the top 8 scored points.
I can give you a hint if you'd like one.
Yeah, go on.
The point system changed in 2010.
Okay. So that would be to the current one. Oh, but then do you give me 2 lower questions or not? Oh.
It's all mind games.
Yeah,
here.
it is.
The higher and lower mind games.
Yeah. Ooh. At least with the 100% records gone for both of us, we have a bit more freedom of guessing.
Yeah,
so there's not as much pressure on it.
No, not at all.
Oh. Given you're saying that the point system changed, but you see, it's probably a trick question, because you expect Alonso to be, if he won the title, to be right up there. Oh, I'm going to go lower. I'm taking too much time.
You're going to go lower?
Yeah, I know that's wrong.
So you're going to say Alonso had less points?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've just missed it.
Oh.
So in the first opening 8 races of the 2005 season, Alonso won 4, which gave him 40 points. And then he had a third, a second, and a fourth, and a retirement. So Alonso actually scored 61 points in the opening 8 races. So it's very close.
Yeah, it was. So I think that's the second question I've got wrong.
Not that this bit of the podcast is competitive and we're keeping score at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Oh no, of course not.
So my second question to you then is: the Styrian Grand Prix took place at the Red Bull Ring, but one of the energy drinks rivals, Monster Energy, had been sponsoring Mercedes since 2010, which is now 11 years. But has Nick Heidfeld stood on the podium a higher or lower amount of times than 11?
I have a funny feeling Heidfeld holds the record for standing on the podium the most times without getting a win. And I believe Heidfeld stood on the podium 14 times. I think.
So you're going higher then?
I'm going to go higher, yeah.
You are correct.
Yes!
But it was only 13 times.
Oh, it was only 13 times.
So if only we could give you 3/4 of a point for that one.
3/4 of a point.
3/4.
And honest, the only reason I know that is because they were talking about it in the Formula E at the weekend. They were talking about it on the Formula E.
Well,
so yeah, thank you, Jack Nicholls, for that one.
Yeah, Heidfeld was on the podium, or when was his first podium then? Let's see if you can recover that quarter of a point then.
What was that? Sorry.
What was his first race he stood on the podium?
Heidfeld?
Yeah.
I want to say like China back in 2004, something like that.
2001.
It was further back.
Brazil 2001, Malaysia, Monaco, and the European Grand Prix in 2005. Hungary in 2006, Canada and Hungary in 2007, Australia, Canada, Silverstone and Belgium in 2008, Malaysia 2009, and finally Malaysia 2011. So yes, he does have the record for the most podiums without a race won. I think
there we go.
Time to move
Formula E and F1 linking together.
Yes.
To save my arse in higher or lower.
Yes. You never know when the two will come together. I think let's move on to meant to be the more serious part, but the less serious
Yeah,
part
I
of
mean,
the
we could just
podcast.
ask more higher or lower questions, but I suppose we've
We
got to
could.
talk about the race.
Yeah. It's sort of the point of these podcasts, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, when we say this chat about the race, I don't think there's an awful lot we can talk about because, as you said at the start, it was a bit of a snooze fest. Yeah, I've watched back the highlights a few times. I've watched back the 30 minutes highlights on F1 TV, and
Whoever stitched that together needs a medal.
yeah,
Half an hour of highlights from that race.
I
Impressive.
I was watching it and it all flowed together because it was that dull that I didn't even notice that it wasn't the full
Hmm.
race. But I think the big talking point coming out of it is how well Red Bull done. And do you think now Red Bull are title favourites?
100%. I think it's definitely their title to throw away now. Obviously, if Max has a repeat performance this weekend, he's going to be a full 25 points in front of Hamilton, which is pretty big this early on in the season. I mean, anything can happen, as Baku showed. But yeah, Red Bull are they're looking pretty dominant. And those upgraded power units, which Mercedes aren't that happy about, because obviously this year you're not allowed to bring upgrades to the power unit, you're only allowed to bring reliability upgrades. Red Bull have brought through a load of upgrade packages, and suddenly their pace on normal tracks has really improved. So,
There was a couple of rumours before going into the weekend saying that Mercedes had stopped development on their 2021 car. Now, James Allison has since come out and said that they are going to be planning upgrades,
hmm
probably to counteract the terrible. Well, when we say a terrible weekend, a second and third place for Mercedes, it's still a relatively good weekend. It's just
well, I think it's the longest they've gone without a win in the hybrid era. It's the longest
it
they've
is.
gone without a win in over 8 years.
Yeah, I think that is correct. I think a question that throws up for Red Bull, as well. If Mercedes are planning these upgrades, say it was a small upgrade, and Mercedes are focusing mainly on their 2022 car, Red Bull will be in a bit of a dilemma. Do they go all out and win this year's title, and
I think
risk
that's what their plan is.
and then risk being behind going into the next era where Mercedes may have that clear advantage again, or do you think they just want to just fight it out on track and focus towards next year, as Mercedes will most likely do?
I think Red Bull are going to throw the kitchen sink at this year. Um, and I really think that that is their best hope of winning a championship. It's whether they want to sacrifice next year as well. That's the question. Because obviously the budget caps come in, and that's hurt. Well, it's not hurt the big teams, but it's
It's
kind
made
of
a
pulled them
difference.
back in a bit, which is what it was designed to do. And Red Bull are definitely throwing all their eggs into this year's basket. I was reading somewhere, they had 8 trucks arrive from Milton Keynes over the course of the weekend, bringing upgraded parts to Austria. 8 trucks over 3 days.
Yeah, that is a lot of new parts. How big of a difference do you think having a driver like Sergio Perez and is doing? Because it means there's a consistent lineup of drivers who are fighting for podiums. Do you think that is really helping Red Bull, or do you think just the car is far superior to what they've had in previous years?
Well, the biggest thing that it's allowed Red Bull to do, it's stopped them being bullied by Mercedes. It stopped Mercedes pitting one car, sending one long, to kind of bully Verstappen into doing what they want to do. You saw it in Paris, not in Paris, in France.
It's a
You
new
saw it
Grand
in
Prix.
France where they couldn't do anything with Bottas or Hamilton for that matter because Perez was too close. That has been Red Bull's weakness the past 4 or 5 years. They've had no one that's been able to keep up with the top three. Yes, they've had solid, good drivers in there, and I think Perez has completely outdone himself this year again. But it's just stopping Mercedes being bullish in their strategy.
Do you think that there's any way that this could be ultimate mind games for Mercedes to sort of sacrifice 2 or 3 races to allow Red Bull to think they've won? Red Bull, lift the foot of their gas for next, and focus towards next season, and Mercedes bring this new upgrade, and and beat them for the rest of the season?
I I don't think so. I genuinely think Mercedes don't know what to do with this Red Bull pace because to me it was quite clear on Sunday they weren't racing for a win. They were racing for a 1-2 and a 2-3, sorry, in a fastest lap. They need to maximise every single race now. Make sure they're getting Bottas ahead of Perez on the podium. Make sure they're picking up that point for fastest lap because these small points will come in handy towards the end of the season. There's no question of a doubt. It's the thing that amazes me is how Mercedes just with the strategy seem to be struggling. You saw it in France. You saw it to an extent in Austria. Like they can't match Verstappen for pace on track. So why don't they try something different with Lewis? Why don't they bring him in, put him on softs to go to the end? I mean, I'm no strategist, thank God. Otherwise, it would be chaos. But Mercedes don't seem to be as sharp as they have been the past few races.
Do you think it could be anything down to Mercedes not knowing what it's like to not be winning? I know World Superbikes, the reigning champion Jonathan Rea, he always says what motivates him is the fear of not winning. Do you think Mercedes just, and the reason he says that is because he doesn't know what not winning feels like? Do you think that could be the case for Mercedes?
Well, it's not like we've seen them in the past get challenged. And you look at 2018 and 2019, they had the slower car. They just performed better than Ferrari. And you didn't see these errors like Monaco with the undercut or France when they tried to get Bottas in front of Verstappen and ended up just throwing away the race win. You haven't seen these errors from Mercedes consistently for a while. Yeah, they have one or two bad weekends, but you don't see them have a couple of, well, I say average weekends.
I think what's sort of helping Mercedes sort of stay with Red Bull is when something doesn't go right for them, something also goes wrong for Red Bull. Azerbaijan, Verstappen going out, Hamilton also went out. If either of those drivers were still, if we were able to finish the race, one of them would have won it, and that could have changed things completely.
When I saw what happened in Baku, I said to the friends I was watching it with, that is a championship deciding race.
Yeah.
Hamilton could not afford to throw away 25 points.
No.
I mean, yes, it was a mistake. But we don't actually know really. Well, it was a button press, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's magic button.
Magic button. Yeah. But 25-point swing would have been huge for Merck.
It
would have been massive for the championship. I have a feeling they will look back and they will rue Baku when it comes to the end of the season.
Yeah, because I think if they had have won there, it would have put Hamilton back in the lead of the championship.
It would have done by about, about 12, 13 points?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it would have put them in the constructors. I think Red Bull have a good lead.
Red Bull have got a pretty solid lead on that now.
Now, sort of to keep off of the usual asking the questions and listening to the rumours, we know that there's this rumour about George Russell moving to Mercedes for next season. There, according to Sky Sports Italia, there's meant to be an announcement at the British Grand Prix. Do you think if Bottas keeps performing the way he is, in fairness he did get a podium the weekend, but this constant underperforming, do you think there'd be any point where Mercedes might go, look, we need to stay in this championship, let's swap the two drivers about and bring Russell up?
I don't think they can afford to. And I don't think Mercedes are the team to do that. They'll obviously honour Bottas. I think they'll honour Bottas's contract out. But Russell is just incredible. He was loyally done in at the weekend with that hydraulic issue. Started 10th in the end. I reckon he could have scored points.
Oh, definitely.
Easily.
He was 8th in the race at one point before he had to retire, which for a team like Williams, I think this is the first time in a long time that they have been competitive in the weekend, that they were right up there in the midfield.
Yeah.
One of the stronger midfield teams with Russell. They looked solid. Whether or not he could have stayed in the points come the end of the race, we don't really know. I think the vast majority of the cars got lap within, you know,
I think they lapped up to fifth.
yeah, and it was fairly early on because it is a short lap.
Yeah.
Um,
And the other thing I saw was at one point in the race, Bottas was 22 seconds behind Hamilton in the other car. Russell was 26 seconds behind Hamilton in a Williams.
yeah. And we have to say Bottas, they had the chassis change as well, so he was in the more favourable car of the two, the more favourable chassis going into this race
Well,
this
I think we
season.
can finally put this chassis stuff to bed now.
Yeah,
I don't think it makes that much of a difference.
I thought it whenever I seen Bottas doing well in practice in France, I was thinking, okay, maybe there is something here. But then once qualifying coming around, Hamilton's on top again. I think you said it just put to bed, but it'll be interesting to see if there's a potential swap again, maybe later in the season. I think
I reckon
Mercedes,
they will do.
I think Mercedes are going to have to go through all the data and analysis because Bottas, since he got into the new chassis, he was solid in practice. He was setting the faster times than Hamilton, and then he managed to get on the podium, something he has done very rarely this season.
Yeah. No, it's definitely brought about a better form for Bottas, but the question's still there around what happened earlier on in the season. I mean, we say that he's not had a bad. He's only he's retired twice and finished 12th and a fourth. I mean, that's not horrific, but for a Mercedes, that's when the championship's this close. That's a challenge.
I think if Russell wasn't in the picture, I think everyone would be happy with what Bottas is doing. I think it's because there's that young driver sitting waiting to take over that
Yeah.
is reason why Bottas has a bad weekend. He's 30 seconds behind Hamilton, 30 seconds off a podium, and we'll say right, Russell needs to move up. That's it. Now, if Mercedes don't win the title, that might be the perfect excuse to bring Russell up. But suppose we just have to wait to see what happens to Silverstone if there is an announcement, because that could change things big time going into the rest of the season if Bottas doesn't might not
I
want to
can't
be
see them
there.
making an announcement that early in the season for something that big. We've already heard
Yeah,
the relationship between Bottas and Mercedes. Don't know if it's what we just hear on the TV or it's like them manufacturing drama, but it doesn't sound healthy. Like
no.
Bottas saying, "Oh, I told you this was a F star 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 two stop," and stuff like that. It doesn't sound healthy.
Yeah, I think you could be right there that the stuff we're being shown and we're listening to, it's very much directed and the Bottas isn't doing well. And Russell needs to move up. They're trying to manufacture drama, as you said, which could be the case. But yeah, you see, Russell, he announced at Silverstone, it was in the main stage in 2019 that he was staying with Williams. He announced that before it was made official, sort of. So I don't know if they're trying to do something like that again, but yeah, I could see why they would want to do it. The British driver Jordan, well, the world champions at that point might not be going into next season, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think Mercedes would be better focusing the rest of the season, keeping Bottas. Say to Valtteri, look, if you put in these performances, keep getting on the podium. We'll have a chat at the end of the season, rather than look, you're going, we're bringing George in, and then Bottas doesn't play the team game anymore, and they basically hand the title to Red Bull.
I mean, was it Ralph Schumacher that said in an interview, if we're talking about Bottas and Russell in the Mercedes, you'd be talking about Bottas in the past tense and Russell being there for next year?
Oh, I'm not too sure actually.
I think it was, and I don't know. You've never had, well, not that I can remember, a young driver so well. I mean, not being funny. Russell's had a rough run of time with the Williams,
Hmm.
but I think The thing to me that and I don't get why people say he's overrated. The thing to me is when people say, well, he's overrated, he's not worth the hype. It's like he came up to that Mercedes for Sakir last year, instantly performed, nearly put it on pole, nearly won the race, would have won the race. You look at how long it's taken the likes of Daniel Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz to settle into their new cars this year with a winter of practice. Russell had 6 days. Was it 6 days?
Not even.
And he came in and he just smashed the field in
Yeah.
that Mercedes. I don't understand the argument of he's overrated.
Yeah, he was very, very impressive when he stepped in. And for Mercedes, he's got that experience now with the team. He knows the people within Mercedes, so the transition up would be fairly easy.
Yeah.
It would have been different for when Bottas come in, because Rosberg shocked everyone when they decided, like, Bottas had signed a contract with Williams for that season. But then again, that sort of shows that, or Kimi Räikkönen always says that the contract means very little.
Yeah, it does.
So,
There's always someone somewhere with a checkbook and a pen
yeah.
that can usually break a contract.
Yeah.
Talking of contracts, I know we need to get back on the race. Can I throw something slightly controversial out there?
Go on then.
Lando Norris finishes his contract with McLaren in 3 years. Lewis Hamilton is rumoured to have another 3-year contract coming down the line.
Yes, I see where this is going.
Do you reckon that's what Mercedes are trying to do?
Yes.
Can you see Mercedes having a George Russell, Lando Norris partnership?
Yes, I've said this right when Lando joined McLaren. I actually said it whenever the Mercedes McLaren deal was announced for the engines. I've said that this is I'm pretty sure this could be in the contract somewhere, that eventually Norris will be a Mercedes driver. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and the way he's performing this year,
it's fantastic.
He's incredible.
Yeah, he's, for me, driver of the season.
Yeah, it's between him and Sainz for me.
But Sainz is a good shout as well.
Because Sainz is actually, where is he? Is he ahead of Leclerc now in the standings? Let's have a look. Yeah, he's 8 points behind him. 8 points behind. So, yeah, no, Sainz and Norris have both been mega this season so far.
And that's going to help create the battle is already interesting, but the battle between McLaren and Ferrari, for me, if either Red Bull or Mercedes, if they gallop off into the distance, and if that battle isn't there towards the end of the season, this could be the real battle to watch.
Yeah. And I think as soon as Ricciardo gets up to speed in that Mercedes, it'll get really spicy.
You're creating rumors there, calling Ricciardo in the Mercedes?
Mercedes, McLaren, whoops. Honestly, I'll have all of Twitter on me after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, if once he can get that McLaren up to speed, I reckon he's going to be nimble.
Yeah, no,
I mean, we know his racecraft is amazing, and the thing is, where did that P2 form go? He was second in free practice 2. And then all of a sudden he struggles to get into the top 10.
It's the same as Esteban Ocon. This race for me, he underperformed big time. He looked solid in practice, and then come qualifying, he's nowhere. And the race as well, he couldn't salvage the race either.
Because Ocon finished 14th, Ricciardo finished 13th.
Yeah. Do you think, quick word on Esteban Ocon, that now that he's got this new contract, that he can relax a bit more, and he's not under pressure to perform?
Yeah, no, I think obviously he's still under pressure, and he's still got to measure up to Alonso, which by anyone is a mean feat to do, because Alonso is one of the best drivers, full stop, in anything. He's really starting to gel with that Alpine. He's had 3 points finishes now, 6th, 8th, 9th. He's really putting in performances now, and he's really getting back up to speed. Ocon still has to benchmark himself against him. And I think next year will be interesting as well, because obviously Ocon's used to driving these cars. Alonso's come back after a 2-year break. The way I think next year will level the playing field will be interesting to watch as well.
Definitely. There's a very quick word on these new slower pit stops that are being brought in. Do you think this do you think Red Bull will lose out the most here, and this could hand a bit of an advantage back to Mercedes?
It's quite clear they're aimed at Red Bull. I mean, Red Bull have won 6 of the past 8 quickest pit stop awards. I think most of them have been under 2 seconds.
Yeah, like they hold the record for 1.8 seconds, which is fantastic.
Mind-bogglingly fast.
To change 4 tires in that time,
Yep.
That's it's very impressive, because you'll know from Silverstone, the fan zone, you're able to do the tire the pit stop challenge, and me and my dad done it, and I think we got like 9.4 seconds. Although the boy didn't, well, the person that was pressing the button didn't press it quick enough. So
yeah. Excuse. Yeah. Is that an excuse I hear?
No, I think it's the I think
strict observation.
It should have been reported to the stewards.
Yeah,
it was
sent to the stewards.
Yeah, Formula 1's VAR. It was needed. Yeah. For them to do 4 tires in 1.8 seconds is impressive.
It's mad. I don't understand where this has come from.
No, it's come out of the blue, and I don't know if it's a Mercedes sort of leading on it.
I don't think it is. To me, this has to have. To me, for this story to get this much traction, and for this to say, hang on, no, you can't do it anymore. And it's the way they've specifically picked out the bit where there must be a human interaction element.
Yeah.
They specifically mentioned, I think it was rule 5.4 or something in the sporting code, which means there has to be a built-in tolerance for human interaction and reaction time. To me, that means the FIA know someone's cheating somewhere. Not cheating, but someone's cutting corners. They're using sensors or something somewhere. Because it's not really a thing you'd pick up normally, is it?
No, it is a weird one, because I don't see any particular need for it. Because there hasn't been too many instances where purely on the pit stop something's gone wrong. I mean, there's been plenty to go wrong, but I mean, like, a mechanic being injured, it usually happens whenever they're pulling away from the pits or pulling into the pits.
Yeah.
So it seems rather bizarre. I just hope they don't go down the line of mandatory pit stop times, and because that would ruin it. Because the whole point
that would ruin the spectacle.
If you got a safety car coming in, or even a team attempting an undercut, if Max Verstappen's 2 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, and he can come in.
That's optimistic thinking this year.
It is, but in an alternative universe, shall we say, and then something happens in the pit stop, or if one has a 1.8 second pit stop and one has a 2.7, it closes that gap. But if both of them are going to need to be 5 seconds at the very least stop, that's just going to ruin the whole point of all these teams practicing the pit stops, because that is as much the pit stops are as key to the race as drivers going around the circuit themselves.
I can't see them bringing in mandatory stop times, but I just want to know where this has come from, because someone's told someone somewhere that someone's not cheating. Well, is it cheating?
Yeah,
potato, but
maximizing the rule, exploiting the rules.
Yes, exploiting the rule, bending the rules, shall we say? Someone said somewhere they're bending the rules, which is why the FIA have brought in a new directive.
And
who said what? I don't know. That's not public yet.
I think it would be safe to say that it's not Red Bull, because they've got the advantage in the pit stops anyway.
Yeah, it won't be Red Bull, and it definitely won't be AlphaTauri.
And Williams are fairly quick in pit stops as well, and they've got nothing to really worry about. Haas, well, they might just want to disrupt everyone else, cause a bit of drama for themselves. Because,
ruffle some feathers.
Because we haven't had the drama from Nikita Mazepin as we expected in the last few weeks. He's been very quiet the last while. He's
Well, I reckon it's that spinning top that Gunther gave him. He gave him a spinning top before the race in Austria.
yeah, oh
He
yeah,
said, spin this instead of the car. And
yeah.
he seemingly hasn't spun since.
No, I had to laugh though at thing Crafty said in practice about his son.
Yes,
As
that
in,
was brilliant.
as in the next season 3, Drive to Survive, or season 3, season 4, season
Season
3.
4, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah, 4.
yeah. When the next season's coming out, because all about Nikita Mazepin, because it'll be a spin off. I thought
That was brilliant.
it's either his son has come up with that, or Crafty's just using the son as an excuse to
Yeah,
say
as
it.
a scapegoat.
No, I did laugh at that, but he has been fairly quiet. He hasn't been as sort of dramatic and as dangerous as we all anticipated. He has been at times, but he
We finished 14th in Baku.
yeah, he's not been the worst driver. There is better out there, but he's not been too bad. We obviously know that his home race, the Russian Grand Prix, or whatever it would be called, but not sure. It can be called the Russian Grand Prix, can't it?
No, it can be. I just don't think you can represent Russia as a competitor.
Okay. Well, we know that Agora Drive is going to take over the race in 2023, but there is now chat about potential alternative races between that and Sochi. Do you think just stick with Agora Drive now, because everyone in the world hates Sochi bar Ryan?
Yeah. I don't know. As the photographer in me hates Sochi. Never been there, but apparently everyone else says it's an absolute pain in the backside to photograph nicely. But it was Igora Drive, isn't it?
Yeah,
It looks like a decent track actually.
it does.
It doesn't look too bad.
But then I think we say that about every new track that comes out, then we'll get there and well, to be honest, anything can be better than Sochi.
Yeah. But then again, you say the rumor they were going to share the running.
Yeah.
Didn't Valencia and Barcelona say, yeah, we'll share the running for the Spanish Grand Prix? They did it all of 1 year and then it went completely to Barcelona.
That is true. I think we just have to wait and see with that. It depends. See, the Sochi hits a semi-permanent track, isn't it, or is it a permanent?
Yeah. Well, it's semi-permanent because it's on the roads around the Olympic Park.
So it'll be interesting to see, because they might, I think it's worth having a race at Agora Drive, and if it's a snooze fest, alternate it with Sochi and just make something different every year.
Yeah.
Or go in reverse, spice it up a bit.
What, reverse around Sochi?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? It's been done. Well, it could easily be done.
Yeah, I'm sure they could.
I say it could easily be done with all my expensive and expansive track planning and safety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be virtually done rather than a actual race.
Well, I'm sure it could. Well, it probably could be virtually done. It definitely could be virtually done.
That's a task
Get
for you.
pen and paper out.
Yeah,
that's a series idea.
It is. You do that. I'll investigate the pit stops and who called that. There we go, working together on us.
There we go.
I think we'll move on to some predictions now. I've since the last time we done the podcast, I have written together all the predictions and scored them. And going into this race, it was a 8-6 lead for you and Ryan over me. Most of them points have actually come from your predictions rather than Ryan's, funny enough.
Well, I've heard Ryan's are quite extreme, aren't they?
Yeah. For the Styrian Grand Prix, he had Bottas on pole. So
I can see that.
Yeah, I had Hamilton. Obviously, it was Verstappen. Wait, neither of us have put. I don't think you've. Yeah, only you have ever said Verstappen on pole. For the top three, I had Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez, so I got 2 points there. Ryan put down Verstappen, Bottas, and Hamilton, so he only got 1 point because we're running in the exact order. Then I had Bottas for fastest lap. He had Perez. It was obviously Hamilton who got that in the final lap. And then our wildcard predictions, I had Giovinazzi in the points. Bit optimistic, I think. And Ryan had Lance Stroll in the top six. So
Not bad. Where did Stroll finish? 8th.
So it wasn't too far off. I was further off, I think. I didn't have.
One thing we didn't talk about is the alleged driver of the day, Charles Leclerc,
Oh yes.
getting voted driver of the day
Yes.
after inherently ruining 3 other drivers' races.
Yeah, but that was Mazepin got driver of the day one race and Kubica got
Yeah,
a
that was
last
purely
time.
for the memes.
Yeah. Yeah. You see, Leclerc, he finished seventh.
He had a great drive back and he made the race
Yeah.
interesting.
But if you've ruined 3 other people's races,
I don't know how he got away without a penalty for the Gasly incident.
we'll see. Gasly done well getting back to the pits of the car in that shape.
Yeah.
You seen it come down the pit lane and the commentator's just going, "Oh, it's something wrong with the tire," and then
like, yeah, it's completely wonky.
Yeah, I don't think he could have continued that suspension damage and everything.
No.
Disappointing to see because I think Gasly could have actually had a solid race there.
He's on good form. It's the first non-points finish of the season, besides the DNF he had at the first race.
And Norris is still the only driver to score points in every single race.
Yes, he is.
Again, very
hopefully
impressive.
A record that shall maintain.
Yes. I wonder, has there ever been a driver who scored points in every single... Surely Hamilton then past 2 seasons have had that.
Because he was his Baku was his first non-points finish in over 50-something races.
It was Austria 2018. Was the last time he
didn't score points,
and that was the double DNF before Silverstone, where I was panicking before my first ever Grand Prix, thinking that Mercedes would be absolutely nowhere. Just on Charles Leclerc then, just what if you made it just very briefly off a season? Do you think he's living up to the potential that we all expected him the past few seasons?
Yes, he is, but his life is being made very, very difficult by his Spaniard teammate, Carlos Sainz. No one expected Sainz to come into that Ferrari and be that quick.
No.
He's giving Leclerc a run for his money. I mean, Leclerc's had what? 1, 2, 3, fourth places. But it's amazing to think that Sainz is being solid.
He has.
Performing well for Ferrari. Definitely the best new team rookie.
Yeah.
That we've seen. No, he's going well, but then I think the tyre pressure changes have hurt Ferrari a little bit.
Yeah, I know I sort of doubted Sainz when he moved for Ferrari because there's something that it didn't feel right. But I think given Ferrari's position of being a midfield team, if you want to call them that now, they're sort of in that in between the top 2 and then the midfield. That is it. We'll call them Formula 1.25.
Yeah,
we'll call him that. I think he's the perfect driver to have with that battle with McLaren because he knows the McLaren team and knows what to expect from them. And I think the advantage he has over Vettel is, and I'm trying to have him replacing Vettel, is that he has that experience of racing in the midfield where Vettel was so used to driving out front and not having that battle, which I think is helping him because Leclerc had his time with Sauber and Alfa Romeo. I think it's a good pairing and one that will be around for hopefully a few seasons.
Yeah, definitely I can agree with that. It's definitely going to be those two in that Ferrari for a couple of years, I reckon.
Yeah, and then they'll move up potentially one of the juniors, Schumacher, some other Schwartzman, or even Callum.
Yeah, we shall see.
It will be interesting to see how all the young drivers do in FP1 this weekend. We've got Guan Yu Zhou, everyone's favourite Formula 2 driver, Roy Nsani. I feel like I have to say that every time I say his name. There's 6 drivers who competed. It's either 5 or 6 drivers who competed in Formula 2 last season taking part. I forget the other driver.
Callum Ilot's in the Alfa Romeo.
Okay, so it's Ilot, Zhou and Nsani. And then
Yes.
you've obviously got Mazepin, Schumacher, and Tsunoda from Formula 2 last season.
Yep.
I think if they could put on a show and saw it, it might throw up the question again of maybe making FP1 a junior driver sort of session.
I think since they've cut it down to an hour, the team's already moaning that they've not got enough time.
Yeah, but that's something that maybe not too many people have discussed so far. Them cutting down the hours has created probably one of the best seasons in a while.
It's definitely had an impact, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Right, we'll get on to the predictions now then. For the Austrian Grand Prix, same circuit. Do you think things will go the same way with Verstappen taking pole, or do you think someone else will be there?
I'm gonna say Verstappen pole, Hamilton win.
Okay, I'm going to be optimistic here for an interesting battle. I'm going to go a Hamilton pole and Hamilton win, because
Interesting.
I think Mercedes, although they don't have much time to do anything, I think maybe they underestimated Red Bull a bit this weekend, and they may have learnt, and you never know what they can do. Maybe they'll get the strategy right this weekend and hopefully go out and have a better race. So who will be joining Hamilton on the podium?
Verstappen and Perez.
Okay, I'm gonna go for Verstappen and Norris.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
because why not?
yeah, exactly. Why
Yeah.
not?
This time last year, that would have been one of my crazy bold predictions where I predicted a Ferrari win every other race.
Well, we said last year towards when we were podcasting at the start of this season, and towards the end of last, that McLaren are going to be up there this year.
Yeah, we were right.
We were pretty optimistic of that.
We were getting very excited about the McLaren Mercedes, and you got so excited earlier. You said Daniel Ricciardo is a Mercedes driver. I'm not gonna let you forget that.
I would like to see, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm afraid.
Well, anything's possible in Formula One.
Exactly.
Fastest lap.
Fastest lap, Bottas.
I've gone for Perez then.
So we've basically gone for whoever's not in third.
Yes. Although if I'm thinking that, I don't even know where Perez is gonna finish, because I've got with Lando third. Something's gonna happen to Perez. He's gonna DNF or something.
That's bold.
Yeah. Well, if he's not gonna finish, if Norris is gonna finish on the podium, then something's gonna have to happen to Bottas and Perez. Well, mainly Perez.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. Well, you might be better with that prediction. Wild card then, something random, bizarre, bold prediction. Just first thing that comes to the top of your head, really.
I'm going to say Norris starting third.
Okay. I'm gonna go then.
Can I have two?
Yeah, go on.
Norris starting third, Russell scoring the points.
Oh.
And now I've said that, he's going to DNF, but...
Yeah, because obviously I was the British GT this weekend, so I was trying to watch the race but also cover that at the same time, and I was live tweeting throughout both events, and I just said, Waff, and I tweeted, fantastic start for Russell, all this, brilliant, he's had a good weekend, then he pulls
and
him
then
to
you
the
look,
pits.
and he's out.
Yeah, it was disappointing. I'm going to stick with the Russell theme, man. I'm going to say that he's going to get into Q3. Cause
yeah, no, I can agree with that.
He was close. And
when you think about it, 0.008 seconds, that's the equivalent of like 2 less Cocoa Pops in the morning. Highly technical analysis, this. 2 less Cocoa Pops need to have been in Q3.
This is the type of analysis you get this far into the podcast.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
To the people that are still listening.
Yes.
High quality stuff. This.
Yeah. So Well, I think that's all. Here's us trying to shorten down these podcasts, and we still ramble on for 45 minutes.
It's a good ramble.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for a race that wasn't overly exciting, we've done well.
We hardly spoke about. To be fair,
we've done well to avoid everything but the race.
Yes.
Yes, there was like the Monaco podcast. I don't think we mentioned anything about the race whatsoever. Other than me and Ryan were doing it. So yeah, Craig, any final thoughts about this race going into the next race or anything about Formula One?
I hope this one this weekend is different.
I hope they're bringing the step softer tires as well.
Oh, is it step softer?
I think.
Okay, that'll make it. The thing is, all you need to do is make it a two-stop, and it'll be far more interesting.
Yeah.
Mandatory two-stop race.
Mandatory two-stop race with minimum pit stop times and knockout qualifying, and you're on for a brilliant weekend.
Yes.
It won't be too long before we get sprint qualifying as well at Silverstone. Full capacity crowd as well.
Hopefully be there at Silverstone.
Yeah, hopefully. That's the race after this.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. 3 weeks on Thursday. Yeah.
This season is
2 weeks on Thursday.
Yeah, because we've got the race this weekend and we've got a week break.
2 weeks on Thursday.
Oh, the countdown is on then.
It is indeed.
It is. So yeah, Craig, thank you once again for joining me for this podcast. I'll leave for
asking me to come back and share even more controversial opinions on Formula One.
Yeah, at least you're not as bad as Ryan doing Russian accents and stuff throughout the podcasts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll leave all your links to your work in the description below, and
thank you very much.
I do this every single time because I don't know what you're listening on. If it's YouTube, is in the description. If it's on Spotify, head over to our socials, or Twitter, or Facebook, or Instagram. On the YouTube, you get the links there, because I'm not sure if you put links in Spotify or how that works. Apple Podcasts, again, same. Just check out our social media accounts. Just search the Apex Motorsport in Google, and you'll find everything there somewhere.
It's all you need to look for.
Yes, and it's the Apex Motorsport and not the defunct Audi DTM team from a few years ago that keeps coming up, or some karting company in Australia that also comes up.
Or, as we found out the other day, some random tyre workshop in Luton.
Yes. And it's not the Apex Suite down in Silverstone where the media centre is either.
No.
So yeah, well, thank you all so much for listening to this podcast, and we'll hope that you join us all for the next one, which is I was about to say Australian Grand Prix. That's not in November. The Austrian Grand Prix.
For a good while.
Yeah, so it's the Austrian Grand Prix, back at the same circuit as the Styrian Grand Prix. This is not confusing one bit whatsoever. So yeah, thank you all so much for listening, and hope you join us all next time. Goodbye.